gonna be annoying, then fuck you. No, I'm kidding. I can
All
help
right.
you out probably.
Feel good? About your goals?
You haven't got Donovan yet.
I know, that's what I'm getting.
He's my son.
All right, Donovan,
Yeah, you're
your
Sorry,
turn.
I don't really have that much. I mean, I'd like to learn a new song this week.
That's a good
I'd like
goal.
to finish writing the song. And I've got a test on Wednesday that I'd like to ace.
Cool, man. Good luck with the
Those are
test.
good goals.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very doable.
Rob.
And you'll ace that test. All right.
I just wanted to pass the test, I didn't need to ace it. I guess I'm gonna work on trying to get a raise. I have to talk to my boss,
Nice.
find what's going on, so I can set that certification.
Sharps. So what are our sharps?
A sharp.
A sharp.
A sharp.
C sharp.
Right. Which is exactly why I wrote it with these gaps. Probably
Yeah,
gave it
sure.
away a little bit easy.
That
G
helps.
sharp.
But I'm gonna write it anyways. What are our flats?
I forgot.
E,
B flat, D flat.
E, G.
Whoops, I can't write. So.
No one ever sees a motherfucker.
Yeah. All right. So now we know this. Kind of went over the layout of the keyboard because it makes it a little easier to think about where your notes are on the guitar. The reason is, even on the bass too. So now I'm gonna get mine out,
Especially on bass.
especially on the bass. These
This is only
instruments
4 strings.
are very similar to a piano because, and if you guys need, I can redraw that diagram I did last time. Each of these strings is actually a piano, okay? With each fret being a half step. Who knows what a half step is?
1 fret.
One fret, right? Or A to A sharp, B to C, D to D sharp, whatever you want to look at it like, okay? Who knows what a whole step is?
2 frets.
Two frets.
Very good.
Can you write it down on the board? So
Yeah, no problem. I know I'm moving a little quick. It's because I want to get to 2 more things today. But these are called, let me erase all this. You guys got all this? Everybody feel good about the letters?
Yeah.
Do you feel good?
No, I gotta take a picture of that.
Oh, okay, cool. And I'll leave it. So these are. Sorry if my writing sucks, let me know and I'll like make you a little thing.
That's from.
That's from last week.
Actually, I think we
That's
have
what
that
he's
sheet.
gonna do.
I might have to.
Did you?
So this is a C major scale.
Yeah, this is the one.
Oh yeah. Yep. I don't have that one.
But then you just got it.
Yeah.
Is that Incubus?
This is probably,
It's one of my favorite
This is
bands.
C major
Oh,
scale.
nice,
Makes you
man.
wonder.
Yeah, cool.
so you can, you can
I
draw
might
it.
write that down.
He wants to take a picture of it.
Oh, okay. You
That's
want
what
to
you have.
exchange numbers and send him that picture?
Oh, yeah,
Or can
you
send
know
it
what,
to
that's
me.
even easier.
Yeah, whatever works.
Just get his number, send it to
Don't
him.
exchange numbers him though, you might get some unwanted paraphernalia, so to
You
speak.
can't believe you bring guitars in your freaking spider fingers.
Hey,
Me?
I got sausages, I got
Yeah,
eight.
but they still move
Sauce.
like spiders, right?
Really?
Wait, you have an electric guitar today?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, jazzy.
You mind?
You know, really
That's right.
jazzy.
Yeah, multimedia.
Do you know anybody that's interested in buying an electric guitar?
Huh?
You know anybody that's
3, 4,
interested in
7?
buying an electric guitar?
I would be very interested
4,
if I had the
5.
money.
2, 5.
I wanna buy I'd like to buy either a baritone or a 25 and a half inch scale. Like, I don't wanna get a Strat, but like
Quite common.
a Schecter, I mean, you know the Schecter, but a 25. And I'm not actually really sure what this is. Might be, I know it's a 24 fret.
We got one water left, anyone want it?
Got it.
Cool, alright.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah.
You want it? Oh, you, nice. Jump in here. Did you guys kinda hear? That can't be from.
You know, I brought it around. I'm on my third one.
Alright. Okay, I'm not the best with like definitions or words or anything, but this is how I think about this. So it's really important, again, communication wise and applying this to your instrument, no matter what it is, even your voice. Intervals, okay, that's a fancy word for space between two notes. So if you ever hear the word intervals, there's even a band called Intervals if you guys listen to like some metal and shit. Yeah, everyone's welcome to come up, take a picture of this stuff if you want. If you need me to rewrite a word, my writing's a little chicken scratchy.
Intervals.
So when it comes to intervals, there are two kinds mainly, okay? The first one is a half step, which is what we just talked about. It's smaller. When we apply this to the guitar and the bass, we're talking 1 fret difference. So, Rich, turn your bass up a little bit, man. Let me hear that thing. Okay. Now, when you see the word semitone, that's a fancy word for note, okay?
Semitone.
Semitone, yeah. So, that just means, actually, shouldn't even use that. 1 tone. Tone is a fancy word for note. So, an example of a half step would be B to C, because they're right next to each other. So, and you can go downward too. So I could go from F to E, that's a half step down, right? Versus E to F being a half step up. You guys have heard, when you're tuning your guitar, you know, people say half step down, right?
Got it.
That's what they're referring to. So they're
Okay.
saying all your strings are gonna go a half step down. So if you like plugged into your tuner, it would go from E to E flat,
Right.
A to A flat, so on and so forth. Now, the tuner, depending, might label it not just as flats. So some tuners you plug into are gonna tell you that your E is going to a D sharp. It's the same thing. Okay, to your ears, it's the same thing. It's just certain tuners are made certain ways. I don't know why they do it like that, but my tuner's pretty easy. But like, you know, fancy pedal tuner, you plug that thing in, it might tell you E is going on E flat, and then it might tell you A is going on a G sharp. Don't know why they do it. I think it's to avoid confusion when you're looking at it from standing up, blah, blah, blah. Any questions on what a half step is? Cool. So now, again, I know this is really simple stuff, but I want to make sure everyone gets it, especially for you, because this is a new instrument for you, right? Cool. So, play me your very lowest string, just open. Good. You know what that is?
E.
Good. So, now play me a half step up from E. Perfect. Awesome. But, when you play your first fret, and this is a little tip for everybody in the room, mostly on bass, it's important. Yeah, use that index finger, man. Only because your thumb and your index finger work together a lot. They're kind of attached at the same muscle. Cool. So, everybody gets half step. I think now everybody can probably guess what a whole step is, right?
Yep.
What's a whole step on the guitar or bass?
2 frets.
2 frets. Good. Can someone play me any chord or any note? How about you, Donovan? Give me something. Okay, so that's an E, right? Play me up a whole step from E. Good. What note is that, Jason?
F sharp.
Very good. Or, actually, that's all it would be. That was a joke. We couldn't call it a G flat, okay? I'm gonna do a lot of trick questions in here, but you weren't here last week, so I'm not gonna ask you yet.
Okay.
We couldn't call that a G flat. Does anyone know why? If we called that a G flat, it would be something a little bit different.
There are no flats in guitar.
No, there are flats, but it's the letter name, okay? So we could call it a whole step, but the letter name makes it weird. So the reason, I'm not gonna get into all that right now. I don't mean to confuse anybody.
But they're pretty much the same.
I'm getting ahead of myself. They sound the same. They sound the same. But when we look at the letter name, it's gonna make a difference in the future, and I'll tell you guys about that. So does anybody want to take a picture of this before I move on to the next thing? Cool. And I can send you guys pictures of whatever you need. Okay, so this is basically what we went over last time, with the exception of one thing. Anyone have any questions?
Why does the berm not me?
Cause you're grow.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Maybe you mowed too many lawns, man.
How are you mowing lawns if you're laying pipe?
I'm a plumber.
It reminds me, I'm gonna try to stay out of trouble. My wife and youngins are going out of town next weekend.
Oh, freebie.
I'm alright if the wife goes out of town. I don't want the youngins to go there.
Oh, yeah.
Scales. Fun stuff. Fun. Because everyone looks at these, and when you try to learn from YouTube, a lot of people go really fast with them. I think people in their heads often just make this shit a lot harder than it needs to be. Especially when you go to certain teachers. I hope I make this easy. If I don't, if I'm moving too fast, it's the fucking caffeine. Tell me to slow down. But we went over this last time. So scales, you can tell me kind of what a scale is, besides something on a fish.
It's a series of notes.
Good. It's a pattern of notes. It's exactly what it is. And it's actually a formula. And this is how I think about it. For the most part, it's going to be a formula of whole and half steps. Okay? So, who knows what the major scale is?
C major.
Simplest way. Do.
Re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti,
There you
fa.
go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, da. Very good. How many syllables do we say when we say do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, da?
One too many.
But this is important.
Well, it's 8.
Do, re, mi,
Oh.
fa, sol, la, ti, da. Good.
Full
Now,
opposite.
do and da are actually going to be the same note. Okay? So when we get there, how many different notes do we have? 7, exactly. Now some of you might already know this, but I'm going over all this for everybody. So, 7 notes. I'm going to give them each a number here. If I can write okay. Okay. So if we're thinking about it, when we just did it.
Jamie Jamerson.
Okay, now we're gonna go back. Everybody got pictures or references in front of them? If you need to, pull a picture of what we just did. Or if you guys need, I can write it down somewhere there. Because I want everybody to have a reference point if you feel like you need one. If you feel like you know this already, that's okay. But we're gonna be looking at this C major scale that we looked at last week. And in order to do that, if you don't know it, all we're gonna need is a picture of what we just did. Okay? Basically, just the layout of all the notes. Okay, we're gonna start. Let me get
Out
out.
of the way, woman.
I love how many colors I have to choose from here. I'm just gonna make all the colors the fucking rainbow. We're gonna start with the letter C. Does anybody know why we're gonna start with C?
Cause it's,
Because it's the easiest.
It is the easiest. That's a very good answer.
Because that's
Yeah,
the
there we
one
go.
note in the scale.
yes, that's what I
Okay.
was gonna, that's what I was gonna say, white
So we're-
note scale.
It's all the white notes on the keyboard, yeah. But it also has no sharps or flats in it. So it makes it easy to approach learning scales. Now, this is also called the major scale, which I probably should write. Boom, 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 very important. So, the major scale is built of, any scale is built of whole and half steps, right? So now, I'm gonna use a W for whole, and I'm gonna use an H for half. And I'm gonna give you guys this little formula, and we're gonna figure out the notes based on the formula. So once we know the formula, we can figure it out in any key. We just have to remember what the notes are.
I'm sorry, what's W and H again?
Whole.
W is
half.
whole,
Okay.
and H is half, okay? So imagine there's like, I'm not even gonna pretend I can draw a grid with this, because I don't draw straight lines very well. But kind of imagining a grid, okay? So this is number 1, and this is between 1 and 2. Does that make sense? So we have 1, 2, and that is the space between 1 and 2.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Cool. You sure?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So if I'm at the letter C, and I go up a whole step, where is that gonna take me, Mike?
If you were starting in C,
I'm
that'd be
starting
D.
on C. It would be D. Very good. Very good. Bam. Okay. Now, I know I'm writing these really big, but this is actually the most important part of this.
That makes sense.
Okay? Because with this formula, we can figure it out in a different key. We'll do that a little bit later. So, now I have the second note of the scale. I'm going to go up a whole step. What note does that take me to? Greg.
D sharp. Let's say A, B, C, D, E.
Remember, it's
E.
a whole. Very good. Very good, man. Okay. Now I'm at a half step. This is a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
Very good.
Ooh.
Whole step up from F takes us to our 5th note. G. Very good. I'm sure you kind of probably know this a little bit. What do you think's next?
I get it. A.
Very good. Very good. All right. We go up a whole step from A.
B.
B. Very good. And then this kind of makes it easy. It's the same as our starting tone.
Back at C again.
Back at C. Very good. So now we kind of just got to apply this to our instrument, right? Now the hard part about bass and guitar is, again, we have multiple pianos. So we have to be able to do this, in my opinion, just because you guys can all clearly already play. So what you guys need to learn to do is find the notes, right? You guys want to be able to find the notes on the neck to know where you're at. That's kind of the tough thing here. So, who can find a C on their guitar? I know you can. Yep, good job. Rich got it, Rob got it, Donovan got it. Jason, can you find a C on your guitar? Good. Find a lower C though. Very good. Just because for practical
too easy.
purposes.
Sorry, for me at least.
2 C. No, I'm just kidding. Good. So, we're gonna treat this like this. Okay? Gonna do it all on one string. Now this isn't a practical way to play it. You're probably never gonna play through the scale like this. But it is gonna help you to know where the notes are. Okay? So, can everybody do it on one string? Let's try to do this kind of all together since we're in a group. Okay? So play C. Okay, play D. Don't change strings. Try to do this all on your A string. Okay? Play E. Play F. Good, good. If you get lost, take a second to figure out where you're at. Remember, we just went a whole, and a half. Okay, so now we're going up another whole step to G. Another whole step up to A. Whole step to B. And then a half a step to our octave C. Good. Cool. Nice job, everybody. Fairly easy, right? Except for when you're really, really jamming and you're trying to play along with something. Then you forget fucking everything you know because you're going left field.
Yep.
But, and that's cool, but when you apply the knowledge slowly, you can eventually combine the feel and the knowledge and become fucking Albert Einstein on your guitar. Anyone got questions on what we just did? Cool, very good. So now we need to see how the hell do we get across the strings with this? Because that gets a little bit harder. Right, it's like Rich is doing right now. I'm sure you guys have all done this already. I sent everyone exercises. There's a lot of different ones you can do, okay? Eventually you're gonna learn to like go across all the strings, right? That's a little bit harder because
I was gonna say Jason has it on his face. Let me go grab one for you.
I'm gonna use whoever's this is, I'll give it back later. So now, how many notes do we have up here? Not
Seven.
different, but total. We have 8, right?
8.
Okay, so if we divide 8 by 2, what number do we get?
4.
4. Good.
Like
So we're gonna try and play this 4 notes on the A string, and then we're gonna try and play the last 4 notes on the D string, okay?
Okay.
So we're starting to glide across the string. Oh, it's cool, I already got one there,
Oh.
though. I just need the stool. You take it. Don't get a guitar off the wall.
I'm good.
But you're gonna learn this. If not here at home. Alright? And if everyone in here feels the same way and is like, dude, this is fucking basic, I don't need to do this, tell me and we can like kind of move on, you know? So, everybody play C, D, E, and F. Okay, so now we have to transition strings, okay? We have to go up to the D string and find where our G is. Now this isn't gonna be the easiest way to see this is a whole step. So I'm gonna show you guys, and this works on almost every string of the guitar except for the B string. So Rich, this is why I became a bass player, because fuck that B string, I hate that thing.
That is the one that's
Well, but if
throws
you're
me
playing a
off.
5 string, you can't fuck that B string.
Huh? Yeah, but mine's
Huh?
low. It's not in a different.
right.
It's not in a different position, dude. I can
Really?
get an 8-string bass and be fine, because I can navigate it. But this thing has a weird freaking string on it. Throws me off. So, anyways, if we're at the 8th fret F on the A string, okay, and we want to get to a G on the D string, you got it.
4 frets. Down.
Now, yes, I think about the relationship between the strings, okay? This is kind of a big thing. I don't want to get too deep here because I want to keep it moving, but it's going to feel weird to your hand no matter what. So, Mike, you find a G. So play your F on your A string, that 8th fret, right? Right. Now we're going to go up to the D string. Good. So what's the equivalent of that 10th fret on the D string? No. Same note.
Ow.
Very good. You found. Right, so that's your F. So the 10th fret is also going to be the 5th fret. Right? This is an important thing to remember on guitar. It makes it very easy to navigate where the hell you're at. Okay? If you can remember the 5 fret rule, you're good. How do you tune your guitar? By ear. You guys ever done that? Can't do it with the
Fuck
B
that
string.
B string.
Right.
That's what makes guitar a little weird. But if
And
you
it doesn't
remember
have the
that,
harmonic either.
5 frets higher on a thicker or lower string is going to be the equivalent of 5 frets lower on the next string. Except for the B string, then it's going to be 4 frets. Yep, exactly. So when we're soloing, okay, now, soloing is a little tougher because it involves a bunch of different stuff. You know, it involves a level of feel, it involves a level of like taste when you're doing it, you know, like when you bend a note. I'm sure there's certain guitar players that when they bend, you know, you can hear it just doesn't sound as good as when Stevie Ray Vaughan does it. You know, when Stevie does it, he's got that vibrato and like he makes it sing. He can bend an entire chord with 13 gauge strings, you know, like it's just, he's a different player. So that you can't really be taught all that stuff. It's just stuff you pick up along the way. I know a lot of your guys' goals, you said, was to be able to kind of solo and be able to play with other people. So anyways, that being said, now we're on G. Sorry I talk a lot. I get kind of off track sometimes. So we're on G on the D string, right? We're on the 5th fret of the D string, which is our G. Now, we apply the same thing we just did. Whole step up from that. Very good, Donovan. So it's a whole step up. Bam, good. Whole step up from there, and then a half step. So now we can go, and this is a really useful one, especially for you, because now you can travel horizontally on the bass. Everyone thinks because the bass has less strings, it's easier. It's not true, because on the bass we travel up and down the neck a lot. If you want to do some cool things, so play this with me, Rich. We're going to start at C here. Yeah, 3rd fret. There you go. So 3rd fret, 5th fret, and everybody else can play along too. 7th and then 8th. And now we're gonna move up a string to the 5th fret. To the 7th, to the 9th, to the 10th. It's really cool, especially when you get into like, some of you guys are into like that shreddier stuff. Now from there, I can like just keep moving like that all the way up the neck. Now granted on a guitar, I'm not as good. On a bass, I'm a lot more fluid. That's the instrument I learned more of. But when you practice things like that, so I'm actually gonna give you guys this finger exercise right now. This is one thing I want everybody over the week to practice, even if you've done it before. We're gonna do index finger on the C. Okay, now this is gonna be a little harder for you, so don't feel like you need to stretch like this. You're gonna actually move your hand along as you go, okay? But you're gonna use the same fingers. So on guitar, it's a little bit easier. Anyways, we're gonna go 3rd fret index finger, and then the 5th fret either with the middle or ring. I prefer the middle, okay? And then the 7th fret with the pinky. Everybody got that? Also, you guys, turn up just a hair so I can hear you.
I'm not plugged in.
Plug in.
Oh, I thought.
You are turned on. I don't know what's up with this. Is your volume up, dude? Oh, the master. Here, keep playing. Cool. There we go.
Can you go up and down, or you just stroke?
It just depends.
Right here. So,
Where is the switch on this?
it's on the back. I got you. Not for today.
Trying to get something clean with that.
Yeah, I got you. So what we do here is we push that button in. Now play. Good. Very good. Alright. So, everybody do this with me. Index finger, C. Middle finger, D. Pinky, E. So you're gonna slide your whole hand and use your pinky on the F. Very good. Then we're gonna switch strings and do the same exact thing. 5th fret index finger, middle, pinky, and then slide up. It's important that you move your whole hand when you slide your pinky in, okay? That's a very important thing, because if you try to go, you're just stretching your hand to where it doesn't need to be. So for you pickers, see Donovan's been shredding a while. But I want you guys to do what he just did. I want you guys all to try down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up with your pick as well. Okay? Yes, very good. This is like the Steve Vai exercise, kind of.
Does it
Okay?
have to be down up or whatever you're doing?
The reason I want it down up is because think about how fluid and how natural this motion is. Right? Down on a downbeat, up on an upbeat. That's a rhythm thing we'll talk about a little bit later. Nice. Very good. Now if you want to use a pick, same thing. Down, up, down, up.
Yeah, doing that.
You can go all downs too. You guys don't have to do down up, but it's gonna advance your picking if you go down up. Now Rich, you want to use your fingers. And I can show you how to do that too. So first thing you want to do is see this as your down, this is your up, or vice versa. I start a lot of stuff with my middle finger. And I can go get my bass if you want to see me do it.
I can grab it.
Just let me know. Yeah, here. If you don't mind. Thanks, babe.
Got it.
So, this thing's right
I use that. You have to pick it at the end of the bend instead of.
What is that?
Solo to Dock of the Bay.
Oh, Dock of the Bay, yeah. It's like, I know I recognize that from somewhere.
It's usually a whistle, but I
Now,
change it to
there's a lot of songs that this already is too. You guys ever heard Lean on Me? That's all this fucking scale. Such punk band. I don't know if anyone in here's ever heard of Rancid. Punk band Rancid. Great song called Ruby Soho. Bam, exactly the C major scale.
Really?
Yeah, this is so many songs, dude.
Alright, cool.
Appreciate it. Whoops. Alright, there is exercise number 1. Anyone wants to come up and take a nice picture of it? I wrote out, this is guitar tab. All you have to do is mix those 2 strings. Okay, the guitar tab is written upside down. Jason, I know you don't like it, but this is how I'm doing it because it's just easiest for everybody.
What's that?
I said, I know you don't like it, but I'm just doing it this way because it's easiest for
The
everybody.
tab.
Now, another way I can do this is if anybody wants to, you guys are welcome to record me doing it. I know you guys are all capable, and I think everybody's pretty much got this down, right?
I'm black.
Now, has anyone in here ever seen, like, when you're reading tab or something and you see something in parentheses? Have you guys ever seen that?
Yeah,
Do you know what that means?
but no.
Okay, parentheses means optional.
Slide, is it a slide?
No, slide would be like a backslash or forward slash. I'm thinking ultimate guitar tab here because that is a lot of how I learned. I'm sure everyone in this room is very familiar. You look up a song, there's slashes on there, there's like asterisks. Sometimes people make their own stuff up, but it's pretty common to see that kind of stuff. And I use tab because it's very easy to get across very quickly. So, that first scale we learned, or the first way we learned to play it, I should say. It's like that, right? So now we have the ability to see, yeah, okay, this is cool, right? Now we're seeing these notes in multiple places. Another thing I can do is that. So now I know there's a C here, there's 2 ways to play D, 2 ways to play E, 2 ways to play F. Obviously there's more, because you guys can find octaves on the guitar, right? All this means is that 5 is also the open D string. That 7th fret is also the 2nd fret of the D string. Okay?
I'm gonna need a
7
picture
minus
of
5 is 2, right? It's basic math, thinking about it. The 8th fret of the A string is also the 3rd fret of the D string. Now the brown is what we just did, but these parentheses are also where those notes are located, between just those 2 strings. And I'm only focusing on A and D because, again, I'm a bass player. So we'll work our way up to the other strings. And I want to get that before you guys leave today. I want to get that kind of through to everybody. So you guys can take a picture of this, because I'm going to erase this in a second. And I'm going to basically get you guys climbing a little further, seeing how you can divide 8 notes among 3 strings, and then going beyond 8 notes to go across 4 and 5 and 6 strings.
Is that you, Mike? It's pretty.
Oh, sorry.
See, Mike's got the
No, I
improv
like
down,
it.
dude.
That was nice.
Yeah, well, he looks like he's playing
I
it
kind of lack the education part.
That's what I'm trying to get through. Now, again, I'm not going to be able to turn you guys into like, this isn't a college course, you know, but I'm trying to get across the oh, sorry. I'm trying to get across stuff that you guys hopefully after the 6 weeks can go, I have a better understanding of music, and you can approach it from a
Lean out to
standpoint.
get a little bit of your beard in there.
Really?
There. Thank you.
Look how long is this?
Oh my god.
I can tuck it in my hat. But yeah, so I'm trying to get it to where you can go, okay, so great, I have some knowledge. So let's say I want to learn my modes. Okay, modes are another thing. How many different notes do we have in this scale?
7.
7. So how many ways can we play this scale?
Many.
Many, right? But at least 7. Because say I wanted to start on the letter D and make this the number 1. It's gonna be basically the same thing, but I'm approaching it different if I'm looking at D as my new root note. Now I'm going D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. That's what modes are. Literally, that's all they are. It allows you to use use this in a different way, right? You guys ever heard? Everyone's heard Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd, right? That is the D during mode. Which all that means is that instead of seeing C as the 1 or the root, D is the 1. But it's using all these same notes in the C major scale, right? That first chord is a D minor, okay? Which you would get by putting D, F, and A together. I know I'm rolling through this. I'm going to teach you guys this in a second. This is actually what I really wanted to get to today, is how you form chords and how you hear harmonies. But
D, A, and what?
D, F, and A. Okay? So when we make chords, actually, does everybody have a picture of this that needs it? Everybody feel good about this? Cool. Now I want to get into chords. Anybody got any questions on that?
No.
Cool. Thanks for answering. All right, who in here can play me a C major chord? Cool, I love how many different forms of that I hear. Yeah,
I got
Rich.
3 of them. Well, I got one up here too.
I got 4 of them.
So glad you have a bass, man. It makes me so happy. Seriously. All right, so chords. Who knows what a chord is?
A series of notes.
A series of notes
A combination
involving another formula. Very good. It's a combination of notes, and it can be played what sounds like all together, obviously, unless you're using your fingers, and even then, it's literally scientifically impossible to play them all at the exact same moment. But we play the chord with our pick. We play them as close together or as far apart as we want. But it's a group of notes, right? So when we play a C, now that's actually a C add 9.
Yeah.
Good. I want to hear the roots. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that's adding an extra note, and I want to keep this.
What happens if you don't add 9?
C add G. Then you just go C.
It's just a C. So make it like the. Get my guitar. Rich, yours is a different way. But I can show you how to make chords on bass too, which honestly sounds even prettier than a guitar to me. But when you play bass lines, you're gonna be playing these types of things, but separated. Like, you know, that kind of stuff. Okay, so in a chord, we have a group of notes, blah, 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 they're put together. But there's certain notes. So now that we can kind of gauge what notes we're playing, at least in a certain part of the neck, because learning the whole neck is tough, guys. Don't expect yourselves to learn that overnight. It took me like 8 years. And the guitar, I still struggle with. But you'll probably learn it faster than 8 years, because hopefully this will make it easy for you guys to approach it at home and go, oh, wow, I know where that is now, you know. So when we play this C chord, who can tell me what notes are in it? Very good. There's an obvious one.
G.
All right, so we have a C.
E.
Yeah. We have an E.
An F.
Is
I'm sorry,
there
G.
an F? Good. C, E, G. that it? That's it, right? There's a couple of repeating notes in there. But we do have C, E, G. Now, when we look at our scale, do you guys remember how I associated numbers with each of those notes? Like C is 1, D is 2, E is 3. That's a very important thing, especially when you're writing, communicating what you've created or what you're working on with other people, okay? C, again, is what number?
1.
Very good.
The root.
The root, yep, that's why we call it the 1. Always associate, except for when it comes to rhythm, when it comes to pitches, associate the 1 with the root. That is very important. It's not always your case because there are other ways we can play this chord. So that being said, what was the second note in the scale? In our C major. Very good, D, right? We don't have a D,
Right.
so we are skipping one. We're going to the 3, right? So E is known as 3. We're gonna call that major third. And that is super duper important. It's what makes the chord major, okay? We don't have an F, right? F was 4, so G is gonna be 5. Everything makes sense? Yeah, we're gonna call that perfect fifth. Very good, Donovan. All right. Now we only call that perfect fifth because there are other kinds of fifths as well. So everything is relative in music, okay? This is kind of what makes it tough, but it should make it easier because you can always relate what you don't know back to something that you do know. And that's what's really important to remember here. So if you forget what you're doing at any point, remember your major scale, okay? This is built out of stuff that's in that scale, okay? So play your C chord again. All right, what's the very first note, the lowest note you're playing?
C,
Good. What's the next note on the next string?
E,
Very good. What's the next note?
G,
And then what's the next note after that?
G, or I'm sorry,
C.
E.
We already did E. So it's a C and then an E, right? So
So
certain chords, and the beauty of the guitar is because we have multiple pianos, we
I
can
was thinking
repeat a
about
lot
this,
of
the string
notes
that I was on.
nicely. That's okay. So
And the high
the
ones.
relationship between these, which we looked at our big scale, right? Our big scale full of 8 notes, and then we are like bam, bam, bam. We picked the 3 that work together nicely. Okay, they sound good to our ear. That's literally why music was created in the first place, right? Because if it sounds bad, we're either in Primus or we're probably trying or not trying to sound bad.
Why does this E not work in that chord? That's an E, isn't it?
It does, but the problem is we're ascending, okay? This E is descending from that C. So find a different E. Find a higher E.
sorry.
It's okay.
At first I was thanking you for
Very
throwing
good.
it away, then I realized, wait a minute, you're
Oh, wait,
right,
it is
it's in
up.
your way.
Yep.
Leave your
Now on
trash here,
bass,
Mr.
okay, when
Jason.
you play multiple notes together, because your strings are thicker and it's lower frequency, it's gonna sound muddy, okay? So there's certain ways to play. And I'll send you specifically a couple things about bass to show you how you can play some chords like on there that sound good. Because bass is just, it's a little different, you just gotta play it. So on bass, we're gonna play things that you can play on guitar too. These things called arpeggios, okay? Now, real quick, I'm gonna show you guys a way to approach this so that you can apply this to every chord ever that you come across. If you start playing some crazy shit like jazz, you're gonna see some wild, fun chords, okay? That's hard. Make it easy. All you have to do is take a second, sit back, look what's in the chord, and analyze it, okay? Nobody wants to do this, but if you guys wanna kind of gain the education, you saw how quickly you guys analyzed your chord, right? Fucking easy. Have any of you ever sat down and looked at all that before? Besides you. Because I know at the rock school you probably did that. So, now we need to look at the space between these, right?
You're gonna erase that?
The intervals. Okay, so we have a C, an E, and a G. That's actually the notes. Okay? Oh, I love that song. Alright, so how far weight is E from C?
Couple inches.
On a fretboard, yeah, it is probably
steps.
less than a couple inches.
Two
Well,
steps.
yeah.
2 whole steps.
Stone's throw away, right? Yeah, two whole steps. Very good. This is important.
2 whole steps.
Okay? This and this are associated. Whenever you have something that's 2 whole steps away above another note, it's a major third. Okay? Especially if that note is the root and this is the third. Bam. Okay? Now this is more of a communication thing. So if you're telling somebody, oh, I'm going from C to E. Okay, cool. What fret is that? They're gonna look at you and say that. A lot of people will. And you guys still might do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But this kind of helps you avoid the hump of, oh shit, well if you're in a different tuning, whatever. Okay? So, 2 whole steps. Right? How far away is G from E?
2 whole steps.
3 half steps.
3 half steps.
Oh.
Or 1.5 steps.
1.
Okay.
However you want to look
Okay.
at it, right? But yeah, I'm gonna put 3 half because that's the easiest way and that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I got one open mic last Saturday ago. I was like, "You got your guitar tuned down, don't you?" He says, "Yeah, I got it tuned down 6 half steps."
He must have had like fucking chicken wire for strings. Dude.
No, he had like heavy, like I have. Mine,
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
14s.
I see these guitar players that start getting into bass string territory, and I'm like, dude, you should just get a bass. You can get so much lower.
Not the same
with a
though. It's
bass.
just like there's like 6 strings.
I have a
It's
6-string
just
bass.
like 11's not the same as 10.
Yeah, I have a 6-string bass, and it's
That's
way easier to
awesome.
play than a 6-string guitar.
I'm sure.
Because, okay, so this is a minor third, okay? 1.5 steps or 3 half steps is called a minor third.
But how is it a minor third when it's a major chord?
Because it's well, no, these are the intervals in the chord. The
Okay.
whole chord is major, okay? I'm
Right.
looking at the pieces, all right?
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. But when we put all this together, because of this relationship, because of the root to the third, that's what makes this major. Okay, so in fact, right now, don't even worry about that. We do need to know that it's 3 half steps.
So that works pretty much all the way up the neck except the B string.
This works for anything that you want to call a major chord. Let's say I want to figure something out, okay? Who in here knows a G chord? Very good. So, here's our next example.
7th, stop it. Don't
Okay,
confuse
don't do the 7th. The 7th, we don't need to cut it 7th yet. Okay. But what we do need to do is figure out what notes are in our G chord. Obviously, we have a G, right? G is going to be the root. Okay, now we need a major third. How far away is a major third, anybody?
2 steps.
Yeah, very good. So what's 2 steps above G?
B.
B. Very good. So now we have a 5th. In a major chord, we have 3 half steps. From the third note to the 5th. Okay. So how far is that? What note does that make?
D.
D. Very good.
Good job.
So now we aren't just figuring out how to play chords here, guys. We're figuring out how to play arpeggios. Okay. This is the stuff that anybody that can solo uses to solo. Okay. Again, there's a feel aspect. And there's probably stuff, dude, like you can play. There's probably already shit you've been doing.
I was gonna say.
You just don't know you're doing it.
Except me.
Except for, yeah. So, this is what I've learned heavily on the bass. These are called arpeggios. When we look at chords, yeah, we're playing them as a group, but say you didn't. Say you took your pick, or your fingers, right? And you played, Simple Man, right? Those are chords, but we're playing them as an arpeggio. Who knows what an arpeggio is?
It's
The fancy word.
individual note.
It's a broken chord. Let's call it that. That's the easiest way to think about it, because you can play a chord, right? Or you can play.
So if
Right.
you're finger picking, it's still arpeggiating.
It's still arpeggiating, but even if even if you're playing single notes, you're arpeggiating.
You're not
See, I'm
strumming.
going, I'm breaking that chord up. C, E, and G. Okay? Now there's guys out there that, especially when they solo a lot, you know, you might think, wow, that's so, like Brian May from Queen is an expert at this, okay? Eric Clapton, when he wasn't in Cream necessarily, but thinking about that song you played, wonderful tonight. Let's see. A lot of guys are playing mostly arpeggios and like pentatonic scales, which is a 5-note scale. That's why they call it pentatonic. I'm sure you guys have heard that. You ever heard the word pentatonic before?
I haven't.
Okay, all that means is
Exactly what it is.
5 tones. Penta, like a pentagon, has 5 sides. Penta is a word for 5. Tonic is a word for tones. Okay. Now that's not as important yet, and I'll teach you guys that. But I can play really cool shit by arpeggiating, and I can play a solo like that. You know, like. All I'm doing is breaking up that chord, and all I did was play just those 3 notes. Now I bent to one of them, yeah. But if you understand this, you can write a hell of a solo. You can write a melody line for your song. You know, you can hum one out and go C, E, G, A, G. You know what I mean? Think about Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, right? That's arpeggio. So all the best and most like long-lasting shit is A, very simple, and B, written with arpeggios.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
I've been thinking about asking this for a long time.
Yeah.
So, when playing solo,
Mhm.
for instance, the chords that you play,
Right.
I know, well, I don't know, but when I play it, I think I can play a minor pentatonic on A.
Yes, you can. But now
However-
did you hear how you just went down to C? Now you're also playing C major pentatonic.
But the scale itself is on the A minor pentatonic.
Yeah. But also it's the C major pentatonic, and those are the same thing.
Okay, that I
Oh
know.
man, we're almost out of time. Next week, that brings me to the
Okay.
thing I want to go over next week is relating major and minor to each other.
I guess I'm gonna continue my question, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So, when you're doing that chord, right, C, G, and A minor,
Mhm.
however, the same pattern I can also use on a different song that starts on A major chord. You know, like A,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and E,
Yeah.
but I'll be using the same pattern and still sound.
My brain hurts. I've just lost me.
It's okay. I want to answer his question real quick and then go back. Yes, you can.
So
Yes, you can.
my confusion is
Because the A is major.
why, and when do I use? I want to know when should I properly use that, or how would I know? Oh, we're playing in a C, and I can use an A minor pentatonic, and then at the same time I'm using A major on another song, and I can still apply the same exact licks that I'm using on the A minor pentatonic. That is the part that I'm really confused.
Okay, so because even though your chord is an A major,
Mhm.
what note did you follow that with? You followed it with a
Last
C,
one was
right?
C. Right.
And a D.
Right.
So now you have to look beyond the chord. You have to look at the progression that you're doing.
It's no
There's a
different.
C,
Right.
and then a D. Now if you were playing that, you could do a minor pentatonic. But if that was different, or if that was there, a C sharp followed by a D, it might not sound as good if you're playing the C over a C sharp.
It's only on the guitar side.
Because those 2 notes are right next to each other.
Is that why? Because
Yeah.
they're.
But if you're playing a C, your chord progression, you know what I mean when I say
So it
that?
depends on the chord progression.
It does, it depends almost entirely on the chord you're on and the chord progression.
So bass players basically just arpeggiating the chord.
Yes, very good. Think about any good bass line you've ever heard, man. They're either going through a scale or they're arpeggiating a chord. I mean, I think a lot about James Jamerson, who was in Motown. You know, like, you hear, right? Everybody knows that song.
Yeah.
I Want You Back, or ABC, I mean. So all he's doing is, he's doing a little more than arpeggiating, but then I'll think a lot about like, I can't think of any particular song, but I know a lot of songs that like did this stuff in the 50s, like,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
That's exact arpeggiation like we're doing here, right? And you know what? If you give me a little bit of time, I'll try to come up with a song. Because I'm going to send you some more bass-oriented stuff. And, you know, guys, if there's anything that you have, like that's a bit of a deeper question. So I think,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. I just think we should probably talk about that a little more privately, since that's kind of more oriented toward you. No offense to you guys. But that's like a pretty big question to try to answer right now, especially because it's almost time to go.
Yeah.
No, don't be sorry, man. That's a great question, and it requires a kind of a longer answer than I can give right now.
So call him.
Yeah, dude, we can Skype it out too, man.
Yeah,
We can always
yeah,
Skype it, and I mean, I live in Frederick, you know, I'm not super far. No, I do have a day job, and I'm extremely busy right now. That doesn't mean I can't make time. And I really want you guys to get out of this what you want. If you want to get, you know, more than 6 weeks, all you gotta do is call me, dude. We're all friends now. I know all you guys. I can come to your house, you can come to mine. I don't have a guitar amp right now. I had to sell it, but
Now you're just showing off.
dude, I suck at guitar.
Well, you're probably light years better.
Yeah, I'm saying for me.
I just play, dude. I mostly learned on my own, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
That's me too.
But I got started here with Gary. Dude, Gary's my first teacher ever. And then I also got blessed with an extremely hard teacher while I was going to college. And in college, I figured out music was what I wanted to go for. So, I mean, I had to get educated, otherwise I was gonna flunk. But, yeah, that's honestly why I ended up enjoying bass more. I like low end better, and I like arpeggiating more than playing like chords.
So what's your arpeggiator, broken chord?
That's all I do is play chords. I don't play guitar, I like playing chords.
Right.
Strong, right?
But if you understand the notes in the chord, you know, you can take any of those, but now you kind of can.
Yeah.
You know, and this isn't everything. Also, sorry this wasn't facing you. I had it facing this video a little bit. But,
There you go.
stay.
I was gonna play Foxy Lake, you know.
Oh, that's a good one.